Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So surprise deleted scene for Batman v Superman. I hadn't even planned to make a video, but they dropped the super big Easter egg for Darkseid, the New Gods, Mother Boxes. There's even a little bit of Brainiac in there too. I don't really consider this spoilery for the movie because it didn't make it into the movie, but I will say just careful for spoilers just to be safe. So assuming you've seen the movie and you know what a Mother Box is, that's pretty much what this looks like in this universe, the DC movie universe. If you remember all the Justice League short scenes where we see the Cyborg getting his power, like he gets activated by a Mother Box when it interfaces with him. But what's going on here is that this clip is called Communion. Lex Luthor is communing with the AI of the ship, learning about the New Gods and learning about Mother Boxes. When you think about it, it's really not that big of a surprise because Batman had the vision of Darkseid's Omega symbol, so we knew there was going to be New Gods in Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. We just didn't know what it was going to look like. Most people want to believe this is Steppenwolf. He is one of Darkseid's high-ranking generals, but I actually think there's a good chance that this could be Darkseid's father, Yuga Khan. Now, when most people think of Darkseid, they think of Apocalypse and vice versa, but before Darkseid became ruler of Apocalypse, his father, Yuga Khan, was ruler of Apocalypse. Darkseid was born of a family. He had a mother and a father, Yuga Khan and Hegra. He also had a brother, very similar to what ended up happening later with Thanos and his family on Titan. He also had a brother named Eros. So Darkseid came first, so you can credit a lot of the inspiration for Thanos and his family to Jack Kirby in the Fourth World. Jim Starlin created Thanos, but before that, Jack Kirby created the New Gods. If you are a big fan of comic book history, there's a really fascinating story about how Jack Kirby came up with the idea for the New Gods when he was still at Marvel working on the Thor title. He wanted to kill a bunch of the Thor characters and usher in the New Gods, but there were some contractual problems, so he went to DC and he took his Fourth World characters with him. So the New Gods became DC characters, but then later Jim Starlin came along and kind of did his version of those characters. But it gets a little confusing when you talk about the origin of Darkseid, how he became the ruler of Apocalypse. He has a real name. His name is Uxas. We don't really know how the movie is going to be using the New Gods specifically. We just know we're going to see a version of Darkseid. I don't think that this is Darkseid, but I do expect him to look a little bit different than he does in the comics. Zack Snyder has this very particular color palette, and just to be clear, when Lex Luthor is watching this kind of interactive presentation, it's just like when Superman was learning from his father about his Kryptonian history. Like, this is what happened to our planet, this is the rise and fall of the Kryptonian Empire. They had that Art Deco 3D Etch-a-Sketch thing going on, so that's kind of what's going on here in the birthing chamber, Lex Luthor learning from the AI of the ship about the New Gods and Mother Boxes. That actually adds some context to the end of the movie when Lex Luthor is saying the bell has been rung, it can't be unrung. It goes to the shot of that painting and you remember the speech about the devil coming from the sky. Thus, they herald the arrival of the New Gods. So Lex Luthor actually, it sounds like he knows a lot more than the movie let on. But the other really small Easter egg here is just Brainiac related. When the people put their sniper scopes on the back of his head, it just forms the Brainiac symbol upside down. It's just a little Easter egg. I think that Brainiac is going to flow from all this too. But just taking it as it's presented, it's really just New Gods stuff. Brainiac is kind of a separate thing, so I think the movie's going to introduce him in a slightly different way. He's not going to arrive via boom tube with all the other New Gods. Some of you are asking, what the hell is a Mother Box? Why is it so important? You may have seen versions of them in the comics or in the cartoons. What it is like a sentient supercomputer that is capable of accessing the source. Now, when you talk about the source, that's what Jack Kirby in his Fourth World comics presents as the source, like the literal source of everyone's special powers. There is even a thing that Jack Kirby called the source wall that borders the multiverse. Imagine there being an actual physical wall around the entire universe. That is the source wall. So I know a lot of you are thinking, hey, doesn't this sound a lot like the Tesseract from the Marvel Universe? Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They have almost a limitless supply of power, but because they're sentient, just like the Tesseract is sentient, they also have different uses, but most often they're used for instant teleportation across the universe. So yeah, it does sound like a lot like a Tesseract, but remember, Jack Kirby did all this first, so technically if someone's getting ripped off here, DC is getting ripped off by Marvel. But whatever, you get the idea. Mother Boxes, sentient supercomputers that have a lot of different uses, most often transportation. Now you kind of understand how Cyborg getting fused with the Mother Box turns him into a living computer. Sentient supercomputer fuses with advanced cyborg technology. So when we get to Cyborg, you'll really find out some of the cool stuff that Mother Boxes can do. But a lot of that will probably be explained in Justice League because that's how Darkseid will get to Earth. Let me know in the comments though, Who do you think this is? Do you think this is actually Steppenwolf? Do you think this is a version of Darkseid? I don't think that's the case. Or do you think that this might be Darkseid's father, Yuga Khan, who actually doesn't really show up that often when Darkseid's around? Most stories about Darkseid just focus on Darkseid. Like, if you haven't been reading it, you have to start checking out Darkseid War. Geoff Johns is doing some really cool stuff, and it's not going to be affected by all the Rebirth stuff that's going on. That's all separate. So what's going to happen tonight is the big WTF is the Flash is going to cross over to Supergirl, cross through the multiverse. She's on a different Earth, so that's going to be a pretty big deal just by itself. I'll be posting a video for it after it airs. There are a couple things that I'm behind on just because of all the Batman v Superman craziness that's going on, so I'll try to catch up with that over the next couple of days. There'll be new Flash, new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., new Arrow, and I think that's about it for TV. There was an awesome trailer for Jonah Hex on Legends of Tomorrow and Talia al Ghul, so I'll try to get to that later if I have some time. The crazy thing is we haven't even gotten to Captain America Civil War stuff. That'll start ramping up really quickly too. But while you guys wait for my Flash video to post tonight, you can click here for all my Batman v Superman Easter eggs, and you can click here to learn about the end of the movie and what Zack Snyder has said about Justice League. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.